hanging out in the middle of the Occupy Melbourne crowd, which I wasn't planning to do. I was leaving, I was going back to work, and I passed a shitload of cops, like 40 or 50, some in riot gear, and they were talking about where they were going. They were going to go around behind the crowd to do, I don't know what they're going to attempt to either arrest people or just close people in here. But it creeped me right the hell out, I have to admit. So I thought I'd come back and see what's going to happen next. Okay, I was right, they're coming up this way. Maybe just to contain people, maybe to arrest people, I don't know. I've got to tell you viewers, I've got a pathological aversion to getting arrested. This is some bullshit, like seriously. I was leaving when I saw them coming around, so I thought, you know, be a neighbour, tell people what's happening, and it turns out my suspicion was right. There we go. Well, let's see what happens next. Right, the crowd's being your classic asymmetric threat now. Just changing tactics. Cops do one thing, everyone waits for a while, comes up with another tactic, then the cops have to react. And then everyone else who can react a bit more quickly than cops does something else, and the cops sit around for a while, and so it goes. This has been going in waves all day. The cops I saw circling around behind me, lined all the way up the street. I actually suspect they may be happy to let the protesters stay in that little space they're in if they don't block another intersection. That remains to be seen, because I don't think the cops themselves know what they're going to do at this point. But at the moment, it's relatively peaceful, but you never know what's going to happen from here.
Turns out what's going to happen is the cops are going to move everyone along. It's very interesting seeing like the old guy getting shoved there. This whole heavy-handed approach gets really indiscriminate, and when it's in the middle of a major city, you've got the actual protesters who are the police target and a massive number of sightseers, and I'd put myself among the sightseers. So at this point the cops are getting it together to keep pushing the crowd along. Essentially, it seems what they were doing was pushing them away from intersections that cars used and getting them up to the intersection of Swanston and Burke Street, which only trams used. Yeah, here they go pushing forward, and I decided to go sideways rather than get pushed along with them. Did I mention my aversion to getting arrested? But it's got to the stage where the cops are now pushing many hundreds of people, and this is one of several reasons why I don't get this over the top heavy-handed reaction. Although, okay, I think I get it, why I don't agree with it. The actual occupiers was, look, maybe 100 people, and they're about to get rained on and have a couple of miserable days. And quite honestly, they weren't doing any harm. Anyone who wants to raise masses of objections to their presence is either lying about the impact the protest had, or is simply the sort of mealy-mouthed shithead that I don't give a crap about anyway. So it's gone from being 100 people fairly innocuously camped out to many hundreds, if not 1,000 people in the street witnessing what is quite frankly an excessive police action. The only way you would see this police action as not excessive is if you are so totally opposed to the nature of the protest that you literally don't care what happens to people who are on the receiving end of the police action. You feel that this is so not your world, not something that's going to happen to you, that you don't have to care what happens to these hundreds of people. Yeah, and I'm just not on the same page as you. I'll be honest, I did not have a lot of empathy. I didn't identify with the Occupy Melbourne crowd. The Occupy Wall Street, I'm 100% supportive of. But in Australia, it just felt very me too. I want to be part of that. Neither our political system nor our economic system is as screwed up as in America. And you see 4 coppers picking up 1 person. Again, I don't quite get that. I get you're making a stand, you're, standing up for rights. Basically, once the cops pick you up, you're done. You are being taken away. I actually think not many of these people were actually arrested and charged. They were just taken away. I'd be this guy. I would just walk with the cops. I would just walk with them, because it's all over. Fighting it is pointless. That's just going to involve some pain for you. I think a lot of the claims of police violence were overblown. The cops did thump people, did pepper spray people. You could have left when the cops told you to. I have to admit, bottom line for me in this whole protest, if you want to get me to side with some dirty, filthy, work-shy, layabout, hippie troublemakers who I don't really care about very much, just launch a massive over-the-top police action. That is bullshit, and that is what gets me to support Occupy Melbourne.